And we continue on the Skyhound Show on the Common Sense Club. Pleased to welcome back to the program Congressman Rick Berg, who has spent a good chunk of yesterday among the flood battle here and also working budget battles in Washington, D.C. Nice to have you back on the program, Rick. How you doing?
Hey, doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Let's talk a little bit about this flood situation. Obviously, 25 years representing Fargo. You've been through a few of these battles over the years. You had a chance yesterday to contrast it with what's happening in Bismarck-Mandan. Compare the two for me.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that catches you right away is the power of the Missouri River. They say that that's moving around 12, 15 miles an hour, and, you know, you just see it's as it's eroding, it's ripping, you know, trees are coming off the bank, going into the river as you follow that up to the dam. So, I mean, it's just a real powerful river, and, you know, it's changing the course of the channel. You know, that's a big difference that I saw between, you know, what we deal with here in the eastern part of the state versus the Missouri.
And that's one of the things you're hearing a lot about today. While there's a little bit of relief that the crest is less than what was once predicted, erosion and just how much riverfront property is going to be left when this thing is done. I mean, it's partly good news because so much velocity is, you know, pushed out a lot of areas to give more room for the water, but it's also taken a lot of things with it, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And, you know, that's kind of the other thing that I think was a pleasant surprise for everyone in the Bismarck-Mandan area is as this volume has pushed through so fast, I know it's scoured out the bottom of the river and they're getting, you know, more volume through. They may not hit the crest. I think they announced they're going to be, you know, a foot or foot and a half below one of the earlier crests. And, you know, so that's great news. Problem is they have a lot of sandy soil, and so people have to deal with groundwater, and, you know, you lose your basement to water, and that creates a real problem, obviously.
Yeah, I saw a map today from the State Water Commission. We talked to Todd Sando earlier this hour, and they'd mapped it where you can see, based on the color, you know, just how much the ground is saturated with groundwater, and it's phenomenal. And I don't understand it, but maybe from your tour yesterday, you can play water engineer for me because I didn't really get a chance to get into it with Todd. But it's partly as a result of all that water you talked about and the power of the Missouri and creating a pressure situation. So you've got really two floods: the flood from the Missouri, and then that pressure creates an underwater flood, and that's a pressure thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, here in Fargo, we have a lot of clay in our soil, and so, you know, everyone has sump pumps and drain tile, but, you know, it doesn't come in like it does there. We have a real sandy, porous soil. You know, the water table tries to match the level of the river, and so if you're, you know, 50 yards away from the river on very sandy soil, that groundwater is trying to match the elevation of that river. And if you have a basement and, you know, it's sealed good, you know, you get that pressure all around your basement, so people are seeing, you know, water come in the cracks. I talked to people this morning that, you know, are doing a great job fighting it, but if this is a 2-month flood event, you know, that just really wears on people. Pretty difficult to keep it up for that long period, but it's water's trying to achieve that level, and where there's basements, you know, that's the biggest challenge that a lot of homeowners are going to have right now.
What advice did you have for folks as you were chatting with them, and what advice do you think folks that have been through these wars before in Grand Forks and East Grand Forks and Fargo-Moorhead could best give in the way of advice for folks that are fighting it here?
Well, you know, that's a huge question. And really, I think the bottom line for me and what I try to share with people is, you know, whatever they feel they need to do what enables them to sleep at night. And with all the public officials, I've really encouraged them to, you know, do the best they can to ensure people continue to have access to their homes, even if they're, you know, stuck with pretty limited resources and ability to fight that flood. You know, you really need to help allowing people to continue the fight for their home.
I want to talk with you about Devil's Lake a little bit, too. It looks as though there's some frustrations boiling over there with the city officials having written a letter to Governor Dalrymple and saying, hey, great leadership, great determination, Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, Valley City, but what about us? We're flooding, too, and we need the same leadership, determination, and resolve, and imploring the state to revisit the current strategy immediately. What's going on here? Why are emotions running that high where they're saying, hey, you're forgetting us, and let's take emergency actions and get water moved off of Devil's Lake this summer and change course here?
Well, you know, I haven't seen that letter, but, you know, this has been brewing for the people up there. I mean, I think it's up over 180,000 acres of farmland that's been taken up. You know, that for a decade, or at least the last 5-6 years, we've been dealing with a symptom up there by raising roads, and the waters continue to rise and gobble things up. And, the bottom line is we have to get water out of the lake up there. And, there's a couple different options. Of course, the state moved forward, but I think the delays are what frustrating people. And, again, these are kind of federal delays on water, where the water can come from and how to take it out. So I just feel for those people up there, and, we have to do something before nature takes its natural course. How do you,
obviously this has been a problem that we've heard about, the fight for decades, and obviously you're now approaching this from the federal level as well as North Dakota's lone representative. Do you get the action that you want when you talk about the delays being caused at the federal level? I mean, do they get it?
Well, I mean, the only thing that's taken, it's frustrating because, the state of North Dakota, we put a pump in. We did that about, several years ago, and that's not getting the water out of the lake fast enough. But it was the only thing that's happened to get water out of the lake has been at the state level. And so, it's kind of, we got to keep pushing on the federal side to allow water to come out. On the other hand, it's probably going to take the local or the state effort to really make that happen. And so, again, I understand the frustration of those people, and I just hope we can get something moving forward there.
All right, let's talk about our conversation yesterday with Congressman Paul Ryan, Budget Committee Chairman. First of all, I asked him what he thought of the idea that somehow your support of the budget that was passed by the House, and all Republicans but 4 voted for, and a bunch of Democrats voted, whether that was somehow going to hurt you in your race for the Republican nomination first, and ultimately to take that seat. Here's what he had to say about the Grand Forks Herald theory on all of this from Lloyd Omdahl and Mike Jacobs.
I'd say horse hockey. Look, Rick Berg knows this issue. He knows how to tell the truth about this issue, and I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that he can handle this. More to the point, we upper Midwesterners don't take kindly to Medicare, to scaring senior citizens. More to the point, I think senior citizens see through this stuff. And I don't worry about this at all, in the least of it. And I think, again, once people realize that it's Obamacare that ends Medicare as we know it, and we restore the program for current seniors and save it for the next generation, I think a person like Rick Berg, who's doing the right thing, who stepped up to actually lead and put a solution out there to save this country from a debt crisis, I think people will reward him for having done that. What's interesting is those who run these ads aren't offering any solutions. They're just trying to scare senior citizens. And look, we've seen this before. We've seen these tactics, and I just don't think they're going to work.
Are you okay with losing Berg in the House and having him want to move on up there, unlike a decision?
Well, he's on the Ways and Means Committee, which I serve with him on, and so that's the committee that oversees this program. So he really does know how this stuff works. I'd love to. Well, I'm happy for him, but I'm sad for us in the House. He's really a good guy. He really knows what he's doing, and I just hope we got somebody good coming from North Dakota to fill his shoes in the House.
All right, so some kind words from Congressman Paul Ryan, and totally shot down this idea that politically you'll have some difficulty as a result of the support of that budget. Do you agree or disagree with him?
Well, I mean, I'm in this race really because we got to get honest with the people, and that's the biggest challenge. The biggest thing that I've seen out there is everyone's trying to twist the facts. The fact is, right now President Obama does have a Medicare solution, and that is to turn over to a 15-member IPAB board that's going to have a huge negative impact, and decisions are going to be made by unelected people. Look, Scott, if we don't do something with this, it's going to be broke. And, here in North Dakota, I mean, Republicans and Democrats alike, we understand if there's a problem, and even if that problem's not going to hit us for 5 years or 6 years down the road, if we start dealing with it now, we'll be able to work through it much better than to have it just, push people off the cliff. And so I don't know what the exact solution is, but, boy, I'm willing to have an honest debate, get the facts out there, and I know and I'm confident that if we do that, we're going to have the best solution on a lot of different areas for the American people and certainly for the North Dakota people.
Do you sense political peril as a result of this, or is this just a media echo chamber and some some hope on the part of the Democrats. Paul Ryan saying basically upper Midwesterners are smarter than that. You know, folks, they're going to see through that. They want straight talk. They know it's a problem. And, you know, when you talk about the money cut out of the program from Obamacare, the rationing in Obamacare, if there's any peril, it's there. This is about changing the subject. I mean, are you running into people that are giving you grief because of this plan to fix Medicare?
You know, the people that have been frustrated are the people that really don't have all the facts. At least that's been my experience when I've gone to town halls and met with people one-on-one. You know, look, the bottom line is, you know, people expect solutions fixed. You know, people don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats in control. They're concerned about the future of this country. They want it back on track. They're concerned about it for their children. And, you know, out there to do nothing, take no serious vote, don't make anyone mad. And quite frankly, that's put our country in the situation where we got $1,400 billion loss every year. And I got into this thing for solutions. I'm in this to make sure that our future is brighter than it looks right now. And so, again, I think what we have to do is, you know, it's not going to come from one party or one person, but I'm just hopeful that people will come together and bring ideas that will, again, solve these big issues, and so we can have confidence in the future.
Congressman Rick Berg, our guest on the Scott Henry Show in the Common Sense Club on the flood fight, and both the Missouri at Bismarck and also Devil's Lake, and also a little follow-up on our conversation with Paul Ryan yesterday on the budget battle in D.C. Keep fighting, Rick. Good to talk to you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
We'll continue with more on the Common Sense Club and the Scott Henry Show after a short time out. Stay tuned.